Oh. ॐ सहनाववतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतो वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। हरि ओम। Pranams to each one of you. Till now, what we have seen is Vedanto Nama Upanishad Pramanam that we have seen. It is called Vedanta, and its Paryayavachi. Paryayavachi means its synonym is Upanishad. Vedanta and Upanishad both are same. Then we saw what is the meaning of Vedanta, that we have seen that it is not the end of Veda, but it is the Antim Bhat, not Antim Bhag, but Antim Bhat of the Vedas. That's what is called Vedanta. Then last time we were discussing regarding Upa, Ni, Sat. There are actually 4 words. Upa, Ni, Sat, Ru. It is not written there, but it is there. Sat, Ru. Plus with Pratyaya. There are 4 things. Upa is a noun. Ni is another noun. Sat, Ru is a verb actually, but it has to be made a noun. That's why they add with Pratyaya. It is a Sanskrit rule, but not written there because the rule is that it has to be removed. That's why it becomes Upanishad. It becomes a noun. But actually Sat, Ru is a verb, is a Kriya Pada. But to make the noun, we have to add a Pratyaya. That Pratyaya is with Pratyaya. It is not written, but it is understood. Now in the first, the 2 words, Upa and Ni, they signify the yogyata, the quality of the student. But the Sat, Ru, that represents the result. Upani, they refer to the student. What is the yogyata of the student? Last time we have discussed little, but the Sat, it deals with the Prabhava. Prabhava, previously we have seen that Prabhava is inside, it is called Manasthiti and Paristhiti. To overcome the Paristhiti, the external situation, the student should have 2 qualities. Upa and Ni, not qualities, has to do 2 things. Upa and Ni. Upa means like we are in this world. We have got in the world, we come across different material objects and we come across the living beings. These are the 2 things. We play with inert objects or with living beings. We maintain relationship with inert things and with living beings. That is the way the life is maintained. But whenever we maintain relationship with the material objects or with living people, always we face problems, always we face challenges. It is not easy to deal with a person. Even when we are dealing with a living body, a dead body, no problem. If the body is dead, then we have no problem at all. If the body is living, then that body will create so much of problem, will give the joints and the knee pain will be there, then the blood pressure will be there, then the cholesterol will be there, then the head pain will be there. Then a lot of pain will be there in the body. And one can deal, if somebody is creating problem, one can deal, but if our knee is giving problem, it is very difficult. One or two pieces of bone, they can give so much of trouble. And little heart is there, and that heart can make that person go crazy. So this is the, and our intestine can give trouble, our lungs can give trouble, anything, our nose can give trouble, anything can give trouble. Our body has the capacity to create a lot of problems. Okay. And what to talk about other people? Other people, they are PhD. They have done PhD. That means the world is telling us, you know, live in the world, but don't get too much attached with the world. Like the lotus flower, it lives in the water, but it doesn't allow the water to wet it. It stays in the water. But if we are too much involved in the water, in the world, we'll get only shock. If we are holding a electric wire, live wire through a gloves, no problem at all. But if we just touch that, then we'll get a shock. So in our life, the world will give only problem to us. Even our own near and dear ones, our children, our spouse, our brothers and sisters, our parents, they can be a great problem to us when we are too much attached to them. Otherwise, it is okay. If we are too much attached, we are giving the entire importance to them, because I do not know what to give, to what we have to give importance. I don't know. That's why my importance is depending on giving importance to them. Importance to them is not real importance. I'm being attached to them. I'm depending on them. If they are not there, I'm not there. And surely I'm inviting problem. That means I'm getting too much attached to this world. The world tells us, don't come close to me. Live in me. Use me. No problem. But don't interfere in me at all. That the world tells, but we don't understand that language. That's why the world is giving problem. Our relatives can also give problem. Our children can have problem. They are not giving problem. They tell that you are coming too close. Like in the zoo, when we go and see the animal, there's a barrier, and we stand behind the barrier or outside of the barrier. Then we enjoy. But if you closer, then we will be hurt. We'll be hurt. Though the world is giving a message, we don't get it, because we are little like a paralyzed kind of thing. We have become little what you call because too much obsessed by the world. It's like thick-skinned. We have become thick-skinned. That's why we don't understand. We don't have to go to Vedanta class to understand this thing. The world will tell. Even our body gives problem. Body gives problem. So a student who has seen that the world is dukkhamayam, it will just give problem. Some or other time, it will just pounce upon us. It is just waiting. When the student has seen, then the student want to get rid of the problem, particularly the sorrow, the sadness, the suffering, the tensions, the worries and anxieties, which are not allowing us to live like human beings. A person is so much bothered by them that he wants to get out of them. Actually, why it is not happening to us? Because you have not suffered enough. We have not suffered enough. If really we suffer, it will not take 1 second to get rid of that. To have the vairagya, it needs only 1 second, but we have not suffered. If we suffer from something, then we change that. Okay, this person is giving trouble, then you get another person in your life. then you'll have problem. That means you are just changing objects, but you are not trying to solve the issue. If the cigarette is giving problem, it is creating some lungs problem or something, some cancer, then I change to shift to the BD. Like that, I'm just changing something outside to solve my issues, but that way it will never be. It will never be. But a person who has understood that neither by doing any puja, my problem will go away. I have done all the pujas. I have done all the pranayam. I have done all the yogasana. I have taken all the organic food. I have gone to all the exercises. I have gone to Tirtha Yatra. I have done Abhishek. I have done Homa. Everything I have done, but my problem has not gone. Then only that person will take the shelter of Upa means need. That person, Upa means closer, nearer. That person will go near the knowledge. That means one will surrender oneself to knowledge. I need this jnana, this knowledge. Otherwise, one will just go from one place to another place. One will be going on doing. One will think that by doing this work, I'll be happy. But action cannot remove sorrow. Action can only bring some changes in the outside world. Action can create 4 kinds of result. One is called utpadyam. Utpadyam means produce. Produce means suppose we don't have the paddy. To produce the paddy, if you put some seeds and till the land, put some seeds, some water, then after some time paddy will grow, will produce the paddy. That is called utpadyam. Any action can create these 4 kinds of results. First kind of result is called utpadyam. Utpadyam means something was not there with me. Now to bring that, I am to do some work. Suppose I didn't have a house. To have a house, I am to do some work. That's called utpadyam. After utpadyam, second one is sanskaryam. Sanskaryam means like when somebody dies, that means when somebody has left the body will create a lot of maintenance, disease. That's why whose body it may be, it doesn't matter, we burn that immediately. Sanskara, that is called Sava Sanskara. Sanskara means we purify that body, otherwise it will smell, it will create disease. Sanskaryam. Then Vikaryam. Vikaryam means modification. Modification means to change. Like suppose you have a house and we stayed in that house for some years. Now I want to change the kitchen. And I want to keep the kitchen somewhere else, or I want to extend the kitchen, or I want to add another room, then I'm to modify that house. I'm to change that. That's called modification. So for that purpose, one has to work. Then last one is called apyam. Apyam is to reach somewhere. Suppose you want to go to London, then I cannot tell, I'll sit here, then I'll go to London. Then one has to go to the airport, then one will sit in the plane. That plane will take apyam, means reachable. So every action will, for these 4 kinds of results, action is a must. But action cannot create eternal. Which is eternal, action is not the means to create that. Suppose I want to be happy all the time, nobody can be satisfied with alpam. Alpam means very little. I cannot be satisfied with alpam. Nobody will tell that, let me be satisfied with joy only in the morning for maybe 10 minutes, that is enough for me. Nobody can be satisfied. I want to be joyous. I want to be happy all the time. Since I do not know where that happiness is, I am thinking that if I keep objects more, then my happiness will continue. Because that laddu which is giving me happiness, if I keep more laddus, then surely I will be happy. And all the laddus, not only it will be more laddus, but it should be available readily at any time. I don't want to give to any other wheat. I want to keep in my room. That means the object should be all the time there and it should be plenty. That way we are trying to be happy all the time so that my happiness will not, there will no break in the happiness. It will continue. It will be there. But it will not continue. How much we may do, at the end, the sense organs, they are not permanent. And they will lose their capacity to enjoy the laddu. The moment we take one more laddu, then take some tablet. Because sugar goes up. That means that is not the way it will create that bhoga. If for my happiness I am depending on bhoga, then the end result will be roga only. That in many in the world we see that we try to we ascribe happiness to bhoga. If bhoga is there, then I'll be happy. But that we end in roga only, disease. Throughout the life, we have to deal with these diseases. That's all. There will be no time for any other thing. So Vedanta, so the student has understood these things. Student thought the student that if I'm having so many problems, so let me go and commit suicide. There is also no respite. If suppose one commits suicide, the next birth where one will be born because one did a papa karma, so one will get a lower yoni. At least now is human being, but after committing suicide, next birth where will be born, we don't know. So these are not the methods. That person has thought well. Pariksha Lokan, that person has observed everything. Then he is going in surrender of knowledge. Means to a teacher he is going. That is called Upa. He is not going to this and that. No, directly to the knowledge. I want that knowledge which will remove my sorrow. Then when he goes, the teacher tells that Vidwan, Ma Bhaishta Vidwan. The teacher tells that you are a Vidwan. He doesn't know anything regarding Vedanta. He has no idea regarding knowledge. But the very fact that the student has come to the teacher for knowledge, the teacher is telling the student Vidwan. Vidwan means not that a realized master. Vidwan means really you have learned a good lesson from this world. You have really passed this university. This university is called the university, free education for all. And that teaches us a great lesson, not our colleges, okay? University, the university is the best university which teaches us how to live life. It teaches us that. And in the school and college, they teach us how to earn money. But living life will not learn from the college. Living life will be from the universe only, by different contacts, by going through different situations, we mature. Okay, so the student, the Upanishad is telling you are Vidwan. That the student is really Vidwan. Ma Bhaishta, don't be afraid. Nasti apaya, that means there is a upaya for you. That is no, previously the student was feeling, I think I have nothing. It is only death, only commit suicide. I think there is nothing in my life. Nobody can help me. That helplessness. No, there is a upaya. There is a way. And the teacher gives that confidence to the student. Then the student, when he has gone, like we also go to study Vedanta or something. Sometimes people come in the ashram, we have seen, they will come and fast few days, they will be extremely inspired. I am going and I have come, Gurudev, I have come to your place and I will stay there and I will learn. And actually the course is for 2 years. They come for 2 years. But suddenly after 5-6 days, there is Swamiji with big long face. Gurudev asked, what happened? Swamiji, I don't know what is happening there. Whether husband he didn't know how to even boil potato, whether they are eating or they are not calling at all. They are happy. If they have problem, they will call you. No, Swamiji, my mind is that I don't know what the children are doing. So there is no nistha. Nistha means that is, it doesn't matter what is happening. For me, the world is father, mother, brother, sister, parents, completely. I am surrendering to this knowledge, to the Upanishad, to the Veda Mata, I am surrendering. When that comes, that nistha, that means I am not going to anyhow, even the body falls here, it dies, it doesn't matter. I have completely cut from backside and front side. I have no attachment to anything, only this knowledge. So these two are the name is that nistha. Upa means going near. That means accosting the knowledge, surrendering to knowledge. When these two things come, then only the third thing, which is called sat, happens. Sat means it has influence on the ignorance that is within. It destroys that. But first Upanishad should be there with the student. That Upanishad cannot do. That the student has to develop. Then sat happens. Now in the Vedanta is talking something permanent solution. Permanent solution which is only one solution, not many solutions to many problems. It is one solution to all our problems. Even it can remove it can take us across the Bhava Samsara, the Bhava Sagar. It can take us, it can remove all the wrong notions what we have regarding ourselves and regarding the world and regarding the idea of happiness. It can remove everything. To get finite things in the world, we need action, karma. Remember this theory. To get something finite in this world, we need karma. But to get something infinite, we don't need karma. Karma cannot help us in getting infinite. The means to gain something infinite is knowledge. To gain something infinite, we need knowledge. To get something finite, we need action. I hope everybody is clear on this aspect. Suppose I want to make a house. Suppose I will read Upanishad, the house will not come. I am to do the work. I am to go and apply for the loan, then buy the land, then call a contractor, then all this action is needed. Knowledge has no place. We should not mix up things. We don't need God's blessings for that. We need only one thing, that be ready to work. Ready to take the loan, ready to pay up the loan. If one is not ready to do the work, house will not just come up. House will not just come up. Because it needs action. Suppose I want to buy a car. I cannot do japa and the car will come and sit in my garage. It will not. I have to do the work. But if I want to be happy all the time, if I want to be happy for few minutes, which is called joy, which is called sukha, then I need to do some work. Like I want to go to the hotel, eat some pizzas or some lasagnas, then I'll be little, I'll experience that joy. For that, we need action. But to be eternally happy, action is not the means. Knowledge is the means. Knowledge makes us to realize which is already there, and action makes us to obtain which is not there with us at this moment. Praptasya prapti jnana, apraptasya prapti is karma. These are the technical terms. If something is not there with us at this moment, to get that, we have to do work. But to realize that which is already there, we need jnana. So we should not ask questions, what shall I do? If somebody tells that to realize God, what shall I do? That means one didn't understand what is the meaning of God. God is not something finite. God is infinite. To realize Him, we need knowledge. Because He is already there in the form of you and me. He is to the left, He is to the right, He is to the top, below, everywhere, back, front, everywhere He is. And what more, and He's inside, He's outside. He's in the body, He's outside the body, He's inside the body. He's in the form of each and everybody. Then we are seeing, what we are seeing is God, we are seeing. But we don't think that it is God. We think that it's my mom or dad or my brother or sister. That's why knowledge is needed. Knowledge is needed. We don't need action because already God is there with us. Apraptasya praptihi karma, praptasya praptihi jnana. If these two things we are very clear, then our effort will be differently. We'll try to obtain that eternal in a different way. We will not get caught in the name of happiness. You know how many things I need that puja. Then whom I will worship? Then I'll go to the priest. Priest will tell you do the Sanishchara puja, because if you do the Sani puja, then more money he will get. Then Sani puja, Sanishchara puja. And this Rahu and Ketu and the Sani, these three entities, if they are removed from Hinduism, all our karma kanda is collapse. This Rahu, Ketu and Sani, they are really making us, our religion, thrive. You go to any time to the temple, either Sani problem or Ketu problem or Rahu. If Rahu has created problem for some days, then they will change to, then you have to do the puja of the Ketu. And there are a lot of customers are there for that. They don't want to really resolve their problems. They want somebody to remove our problems. I'll get problem, somebody else will remove. It is just like a slave mentality. Slave mentality. That's why we create so much of problem. And I was talking to somebody. Somebody told the world will have, the Mother Earth will be very relieved if there are no human beings at all. Human beings are only creating problem. Those who are, can be, a tiger cannot be a devotee of God. Only human being can be. But the human beings who have that ability to reach the highest, they are the problem now. They are the problem. God has sent us, God to this earth because you are the best student. You are the best of the creation. That's why He has sent us here. Otherwise, He would have sent us to some other moon or sun or somewhere. But staying here, we are really making a mess here. Making a mess. Nature doesn't know how to handle this. Because of ignorance. Apraptasya prapti, we are doing only doing different work to manipulate this and that and trying to get a lion's share. But that doesn't work. Upanishad, Sat is the, what it removes? It removes the sorrow, the prabhava, which is our own creation. Paristhiti is created because of the prarabdha, because of the past karma, but prabhava, inside the influence, whatever we feel, that is created by us. And the Sat is to destroy that one. Destroy. Now, this is called pramana. The Upanishad is the pramana so far as knowledge is concerned. Karma is not the pramana. Karma, for example, I am to see something, the pramana means the aid or the help or the means. I am to see something, then the netra is a pramana. So far as seeing is concerned, our eyes are the pramana. Eyes, without eyes, nobody can see. So far as sound is concerned, our ear is the pramana. So far as taste is concerned, our tongue is the pramana. But when it comes to the Atma or the Brahman, then Upanishad is the pramana. That's why it is called pramana. Vedanta Nama Upanishad pramana. It is the power of pramana. Even other texts which will help to understand the Upanishads, they are also called pramana, like Vivek Chudamani, Tattvabodha, Atmabodha, they are also called pramana. But they are called Sahakari. They are called Sahakari pramana. But it is the Mukhya pramana. It is the Prabala pramana. The Upanishad is called Prabala pramana. When it comes to Upanishad, what it is telling, that is the Supreme Court verdict, so far as knowledge is concerned, so far as God is concerned. So much importance is given on Vedanta Shastra. Now this Vedanta Shastra, it is the Praman. That's why one should go surrender to the Veda Mata. Then only it can remove the sorrow. Now there are 6 Pramanas are there. It is called epistemology. We should know this because it is connected to our next mantra, which is called the invocation mantra. It is related to that. There are 6 Pramanas. That's a Pramana means there are 6 means of knowledge. There are 6 means of knowledge. First kind of Pramana is called the Prataksha Pramana. Prataksha Pramana is direct perception. For direct perception, we need the senses and we need the sense objects. Sense organs are to come in contact with sense objects. For example, there is a tree and I will see the tree, but if eye is not there, I will not know what tree is. I will not know what tree is. So the eyes have to be in functional condition, they have to be functioning, then the top condition, then there should be a tree, and the eye should come in contact with the tree. Then only I will tell that here is a tree. That is called Prataksha Pramana, direct perception. The next is called the inference. Inference is called the Anumana Pramana. Anumana Pramana means, suppose A and B, they are connected, and I want to know A. If I know B, then I will know A. A and B are connected, but I am not able to see A. But by seeing B, I will know what A is. Though I am not able to see A directly, but I am able to see B directly. But A has some similarity, some connection with B. Then by seeing B, I will infer A. That is called the Anumana. Anumana means inference, inferential. And the first one was direct perception. Pratyaksha pramana. This is called Anuman pramana. For example, but this Anuman pramana is depending on Pratyaksha pramana. Suppose on the mountain, I see some smoke. Then I'll presume, then I'll infer there must be fire. Because previously somewhere I have seen fire and smoke together through my eyes, Pratyaksha. Now I'm not able to see the fire, but I'm only seeing the smoke. But I will tell that surely there is fire is there. If somebody told, how can you tell that there is fire? There is only smoke. Do you see fire? I don't see fire, but surely there is fire is. That is another kind of pramana. That means I am arriving at a knowledge not by direct perception, but by inferencing. This inference, again, it is depending on the Pratyaksha pramana. That means on the direct perception. Then upamana. Upamana means comparison. Suppose I see a person. That person, I know his dad. His dad's nose is like this, ear is like this. But I see this boy also has the same features. Then I'll compare both of them. Now I'm not seeing the dad. I'm seeing this boy, but I will compare. Okay, this nose is like this ear is like this, the color is like this, the hairstyle is like this, he smiles like this. Then I'll go and ask him, are you the son of this person? This is called the upamana. Upama. Upama means comparison. So this is another kind of gaining knowledge, another way of gaining knowledge. The next one is called the arthapati. Arthapati means, suppose a person in the morning time only taking one roti and little dal and drinking a lot of water. But his weight is increasing day by day. Now he has become like a football kind of thing. Then from that, what will know? Because daytime he is not eating. Everybody is seeing that he is eating only one roti. That means he must be eating at night. That is the knowledge we will arrive at. Though we are not able to see, nobody has seen this person taking at night, but still we will tell that he must be eating at night. Otherwise, how he is bloating like a pig? He must be eating. So that is called the arthapati. The next one is called the anupalabdhi. Anupalabdhi means non-availability. Suppose there is this is in my hand, this mouse. But if now I will ask, is there any mouse in my hand? Then you will tell no, because it's not available here. Anupalabdhi. So the non-existence of a thing has to be known. Otherwise, I cannot tell this mouse is not in your hand. Anupalabdhi. Somebody will ask, do you have any rupees at your home? I'll say no, because I have not kept here. They'll say no, because it's not available. That is called anupalabdhi. But the last one is which is really adept in Vedanta, is called a sabda pramana. Sabda pramana means the verbal testimony. That means somebody has to tell through words. The Upanishad, what is there in the Upanishad as a text, actually the Upanishad meaning is not a text, it is not a book, it is not a physical structure, it is knowledge itself, it is not words, it is not verses. This is knowledge. But suppose you take it as a text, as a book, which is made of pen and paper and ink, that somebody has told to somebody. And who has told? The Guru has told to the disciple. Then disciple has told to his disciple. That way it is coming. It's called Shruti. And Bhagavan Vedavyasa, he has collected all these informations. Then Vyasa means breaking up. Whatever knowledge he collected from all the sages, he broke that knowledge into four. Otherwise, knowledge, actually Veda means the knowledge. The mass of knowledge he made into four parts. That's why he's called Vedavyasa. Vyasa means who broke. That means we divided. That's why he's called Vyasa is a name, is a designation. But his name is really Badarayana or Krishna Dvaipayana. His name is different, but he's called now Vyasa. Everybody, like how we tell that, okay, he's an engineer, he's a doctor, he's a teacher. But that is a profession, that is not the name of the person. Name of the person is different. So Bhagavan Vedavyasa, um, um, he divided the Veda into 4 parts. Now the Vedas are to be told, because by telling only the student will listen. How we have created problem for ourselves, how it starts. The problem in our life starts, like previously I have told, we have discussed. Problem starts when we are born. Okay, when you are born, at that time problem started, because somebody started making this noise that you are my beti or you are my beta. That means you are this body, somebody told. But we don't know whether you are a boy or a girl. If you leave one boy and girl when they are 2 years or something, they will not, even if there is no dress, they will have no feeling at all, because they don't know who is a boy, who is a girl, unless somebody tells them, somebody gives this mantra, they know you are a boy, she's a girl, or she's a girl, you are a boy. Somebody has to make that distinction. Somebody has to divide the entire humanity into 2 groups. Somebody has to do that. Otherwise, we cannot tell, we will not know who is a boy, who is a girl. There are some countries, and there are tribal people, they stay in the forest. They don't wear any dress, nothing. Because they don't have any idea of that I'm a man or a woman. But we are so civilized, we have to cover ourselves with 100 layers. Still we have problem. Still we have problem. But they don't have any problem at all, because they don't have that idea at all. So it is how we are told by our parents or by the hospital staff that you are a boy, you are a girl. Then entire humanity, we are all human beings. Nobody will tell that you are human beings. You will tell that you are a man, you are a woman. Then once it's the same children who are playing together, so close to each other, and once they become little 8, 9 years old, it is a completely different attitude towards each other, is completely different. Because now they've heard that he's a boy, she's a girl. So by hearing only, we have created problem regarding our own identity. By hearing, I do not know really who I am. I just depending on my mom and dad, and they told me, and surely I am to believe them. But that poison is put from the childhood days. It is very difficult to deal. The men now, so much competition is there. Women right, men's right. You know, at home it goes. Forget in the world, because there is a problem with our identity that through the year, and there are 2 years are there. 2 years are there, and if all the time we are hearing, then after some days, if others are telling, that is okay. Once we accept that, okay, I am a boy or I am a girl, then all my behavior will be, now I cannot behave as a human being. I'll behave as a man, or I'll behave as a woman. My talking, my behavior, my walking, my feeling of security, insecurity, all the things will be depending on that gender. On the gender. You know, I'm a woman, you have to do this. I'm a man, I'm to do this. Everything will changes. And it is very, very difficult, even when we are praying also, that when I'm a woman that is praying, so I'll go to a particular God. I'm a man praying, I will go to a different kind of God. In this manner, everywhere it is a mess. We cannot get out of it. We cannot get out of it, because by hearing only, we have created the problem. From the very beginning, we have been told that we are the Atma, where there is, in which there is no gender, there is no jati, niti, kula, gotra, duragam, there is no limitation at all. If from the very beginning we are told, then we will not behave like a poor person here on this earth. We will not behave like a beggar. Love is our true nature. Why will go for begging a bowl? Can you love me? Can you love me? Can you love me? And we spend millions of dollars to get little love for some days. Then that love is just disappears. Since we have created problem by hearing, only by hearing only that problem will go away. There is no other means. Nobody can, by giving something in the hand or in the leg or in the mouth, it will not be removed. It can be removed only by listening. Listening, ajnanena kuto bandha, jnanena tu vinasyati. Which is created, that problem which is created by ajnana, that can be removed only by jnana. There is no karma. Karma is not needed to be happy. Karma is needed to get things in the world. Okay, one should not equate getting a house to happiness. Is there no connection? Happiness is an inner thing, subjective thing, and house is external thing. They have no connection. House cannot go inside and make us happy. It cannot. So this epistemology, the 6 pramanas, out of the Sabda Pramana, the Upanishad is called Sabda Pramana. Sabda Brahmati Vartate. And the Brahman is that Upanishad will tell something which is beyond the Upanishad, which is beyond sound. That is Brahman. Now, let us go to the invocation mantra, which is first sloka of the Upanishad. It is Bhadram kannebhi sunyama devaha Bhadram pasyemaksha bhirya jatraha Thire rangehe tastuvagam sastanubhi Vyasema devahitam yadayuhu Swasti na indro vruddhasravaha Swasti na pusha vishwavedaha Swasti na starcho aristanemihi Swasti no bruhaspatir dadhatu Om Santi Santi Santi. Remember, to understand Upanishad, we don't need any work that I'll read every day. I'm to spend 1 hour time and I'll write down the notes. Then I will talk regarding that. These are actions. Upanishad is depending on the purity of the mind. To make our mind pure, we have to do action, yes. But to gain knowledge, we don't need action. Like when the teacher teaches 1 plus 2, student understands immediately. Suppose the student will go home and will practice 1 plus 2, 1, 2, 3. That is karma. But understanding happens when the mind is not preoccupied with 100 things. Now in our mind, a lot of things. You start doing japa, Om Namah Shivaya, then we'll see that how many places the mind is. Now everything is, when we are involved in work, we don't notice it. But otherwise our mind is so distracted. And it is going in 1,000 directions, opposite directions. As a result, that mind, there is no energy, there is no quietness in the mind. That's why the knowledge doesn't take root. But if somehow, whatever the factors are creating disturbance in our mind, each one of us know. That nobody from outside can tell. What is bothering me, that may not bother to other person. That may not create any problem to the other person. So everybody can know where the mind is really attracted. When you are sitting quietly, not with people. When you are involved with the people, at the time you will not notice. It needs some free time. At least 1 or 2 minutes, I can sit quietly. Then where the mind is going, know that our mind is attached there. So slowly try to not depend on that. Not depend. By developing opposite thought. Suppose I'm telling that, without my son, I cannot live at all. When I get old, my son will come and his wife will come and they will massage my leg. They will take all sorts of care. They will cook food for me. They will ask me everything and they will give me medicine, everything. By thinking like this, I depend on them. Okay. But the opposite way, they may not because they will be busy in their work. How they can come? Then I develop a different kind of a thought which will neutralize that other thought. It's called Pratipaksha Bhavana. They are busy. I am not able to go and see them. How they can come and see me? I am not able to help them. They have to take the help of somebody else. But and I am expecting they are very busy in their work. They have children. They have family. How I am thinking that they will take care of me? That's not true, and it doesn't happen at all. And let me not develop all false expectations. Then one is thinking in a different way. When I do that, after some days, the first type of thought, which was really making me bound to the children, will be slowly diluted, so weaker and weaker and weaker. I will not depend. I will have relationship, but no dependency. Dependency and relationship, they are not they cannot go together. When I have a relationship, I will not depend. When I have dependency, there will be no relationship. It is one way. When one is depending, always one will think that let the other person do something for me. That is called dependency. And when it is relationship, it doesn't matter whether one is doing or not doing, doesn't matter. It is not based upon give and take. So to prepare really our mind, actually the class, when we are going to read Upanishad, with what attitude we are listening, that is more important. With what frame of mind you are listening, that is more important than what you are listening. Let me repeat. When we go to a, like let us say somebody is coming and giving lecture. First I'll go, who has come? Who is Swami? Swami Garbharananda, Swami, first the Swami's name I have to know. Then I'll know what language that person is talking about. Then how that person looks, whether the person looks young or old, what is that person's interest, whether the person can sing or can make us entertained. The 100 things I am to keep in my mind to go and listen to somebody. Okay, this is the way people go. Who has come first? Will ask who is coming. Oh, okay, that one is coming. Okay, this one is coming. There are different things. Okay, now, but actually, listening to Upanishad is not like attending a comedy show or attending a basketball game. It is depending on with what attitude you are going. I remember one time in our Sandipani Sadhanalaya, when our course was going on, each one of us have to sing a bhajan. That is a must. It was divided. There was a person who brahmachari who was given that responsibility. He has divided, and that list was given to Swami Tejamanji. He was, since he was our acharya at that time. Then that list was given. So that day, 4 or 5 brahmacharis in the evening satsang class, they have to sing. But many of us, particularly, I don't know any bhajan. I have never sang. Only one bhajan I knew, Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram. That bhajan. And Guruji gets so upset. He will tell, why you are singing that sad song? Because the song is like this. Raghupati Raghava Raja. And he will get so angry that why you are singing some sad songs in front of, we are sitting in front in the Jagadishwar temple. Sing some happy song, which is sang in the death time. Don't bring all those things there. But I only know that bhajan. I don't know how to sing in a happy. That is the style I know. So you will understand. Of course, later we have to learn because there is no other respite. We will learn some other bhajan. But one brahmacharini, now she is no more there. She was a doctor. She knows a lot of bhajans, but her bhajans are like it will go for 10 minutes, but we have to sing only 2-3 minutes, not like long ones and go on repeating and no. But she knows the big bhajans, and she has a book she has written, and she will sing particularly Ana Sundara Shyam, that bhajan she will always sing. And she has remembered Ana Sundar Shyam, then Krishna ko lao, Arjun ko lao, then Arjun ko lekar ke uska cow, bring the cow, then take the cow out, then bring the calf. In this manner, she will add everybody in that one. And she will close her eyes, and we are getting bored, and she just goes on and on and on. How much time we will repeat? We get tired. Same bhajan. But she is not opening her eyes. She is closing her. But only thing, she remembers which line ends which page. So when she will change the page, she takes a break for maybe 1 second. At that time, we will tell, Sri Krishna Chandra Bhavani ki Jai. Then she forgets everything what is after that. She will completely forget. She cannot chant. So then we thank God. Then we get little respite. But some brahmacharis, if they sing, it is like croaking sound of the frog you have heard, and that is much sweeter than the brahmachari's voice, because I don't know what has happened to their vocal cord. They sing so high, and all of us will laugh at the time because. But Guruji will stay in a very stern face. He will not laugh at all because it is bhajan. It doesn't matter who is singing and what style one is singing. It doesn't matter. That practice has to be done. So when we are going to listen to Upanishad, it is not that who is telling, what that person is telling. That is not important. What is important is with what attitude you are listening. It is depending entirely on us. It is not depending on the speaker. If our mind is in a particular stage, a particular kind, then we'll get maximum benefit out of the lecture. Otherwise, we'll listen something, we'll remember something, we'll forget something, but it is not going to do any change because our attitude while listening was not correct. Like how Puja Buddha will tell in Karma Yoga, our attitude is more important than the action what you are doing. Action may be great, but attitude is not correct, then that great action cannot give great result. It will give opposite result. So these mantras are called Shanti mantras, and the first one is Om. Om is Tasya Vachaka. Om generally, of course, in the Mandukya, that is Karika, it is written, it is A, Uma, then the waking state, dream state. We don't have to do all those things. Om is Tasya Vachaka. That means it indicates the Supreme Lord. So, and Om includes all the names. Like suppose my Ishta Devata is Ganeshji, then Ganeshji's name is Om. If my Ishta Devata is Lord Shiva, then Shiva's name is Om. Pranava Sarva Vedas. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he has told in the Bhagavad Gita that I am the Om in Sarva Vedas. In the Vedas, there is no Rama and Krishna, but Om is there. I am the Om in the Vedas. But we don't know, you are not Om, you are Krishna. But Krishna himself is telling that I am Om. So when we chant Om, that means all, it doesn't matter which Ishta Devata one is worshipping to, it doesn't matter. But when we chant Om, at that time, since Om is the denotes the Lord, that Lord is present in the form of everybody. So I bow down to God who is present. There are so many people are sitting to my left. Oh Lord, I bow down to you in the form of people who are sitting to the left. In the same way, who are sitting to the right, who are sitting to the front, the speaker and the listener. Oh Lord, you are the carpet, the roof. Oh Lord, the trees, the outside who have come here, who have not come here. It doesn't matter the denizens of the heaven or the denizens of the hell. Oh Lord, you are everything. That thought one has to bring. That's why while chanting Om, we have to chant Om little longer, not Om, Om, Om. No, one little longer, because that thought has to be brought to the mind. It is just creating a feeling that, oh Lord, you are present everywhere. If that kind of thinking is involved while chanting the Om, then it will help us while listening to the scripture, because already we have made our mind divine. Because otherwise, when you're sitting, I will sit as I'm a doctor or I'm an engineer, I'm a good person or a bad person, I have got problems, I have no problems, I'm a man or I'm a woman. With this attitude, we sit. So as a result, when the Upanishad is telling that you are Brahman, nothing will go, because there will be class will be there. Because already I have a set thought regarding myself, and the teacher is telling a different one, so there will be class will be there. That's why Om chanting, in many organizations, they will not chant Rama or Krishna or Saraswati or Durga. They chant only Om, Om, Om. They do the Om Upasana. But same thing, whether Ramakrishna or Om, it really doesn't matter. Mainly, Om is the Tasya Vachaka. It represents our Ishta Devata, who is none other than the Supreme Lord. Bhadram Karnevih Shrunuyama Devaha. Bhadram Karnevih. Bhadra means whatever is auspicious. So this is called a Shanti mantra, invocation mantra, because in the beginning I'm invoking. The invocation means something to bring it out which is already there with me. That is called invocation. Invocation time, if something is there inside already there, then I'm trying to bring it out to the conscious mind, then that is called invocation. If I'm thinking that, I have got a lot of problem, and by listening to this Upanishad, my problem will go away. Some people come with that. Somebody said, I'm not getting promotion. If I listen to Upanishad, then I may get promotion. That attitude. So that is already there in my mind. But those things have to be kept aside. Here we are trying to obtain or discover the rich treasure which is already there with us. Puja Gurudev used to tell a story that one man, one boy, very young boy, very strong and stout, he was sitting by the roadside and he was shouting and he was beating his chest and he was hitting his head that I am so unfortunate, I have nothing with me. Then a sadhu, he was going through that way. He saw that what is this boy? He looks very young and very strong, and why is complaining that I have nothing? Then he was curious. Why he is telling like this? The sadhu, out of compassion, he went to that young person and told, "What has happened to you? Why you are crying and why you are so sad, so miserable?" "I have nothing in this world." "You have nothing?" "Yes, I have nothing." $1,000. Give me your pinky to me. "I don't want to give my pinky to you. Get out from here." Then the sadhu told, "Okay, I'll give you $20,000. Give me your ring finger." "I'm not going to give the ring finger." In this way, he just offered money for each and every limb. It came out to $1,000 billion. Okay, he was ready to give to that person, whether he has or not. But he told that I'll give you. But still, that boy told that I don't want your money. I want you to get out of this place. I'm not going to give you a strand of hair. I'm not going to give you. Then the sadhu told that, "See, I'm offering $1,000 billion. You don't want to give. That means your value is more than that. Otherwise, you would have given." "But why are you crying?" "No, I have nothing." Again, he was repeating the same mantra he was telling again and again. Then another person was going, and he saw this young man. And he told, "Why you are here?" Because he looked just like the second person's friend, the old person, but he has expired. That this young man's dad has expired, but his friend, he is very old. He saw this boy and he remembered his friend, and they're very close friends. And then he came near. "Oh, why you are sitting here with a begging bowl?" "I'm a beggar. I'm begging for so many years. I'm a beggar." "No, no, you are not a beggar. Are you the son of this person? Is your dad's name is this?" "Yes." "What is that? You are a multi-billionaire. You have got a lot of wealth, because your dad told me that all his wealth, where it is. You don't sit here, come with me." He told, "No, no, I'm a beggar. Don't try to deceive me. You just want me to not to do this work. That's why I tell you like this." The sadhu told her, "Please, please come. I really love you. You are my son, because your dad is we are very so close friend, and he has told me where the wealth is, everything." Then after some time, this boy walked with him. Then and he has forgotten like exact where location, but he has told this tree, and now the tree has become so big. Which side? Then anyhow, this old man told that here near this tree, on the north side of the tree, there is a big hole. In that hole, there is a big box. In that box, there is another box. In that box, there is a lot of rubies, diamonds, and gold he has kept. And he has kept for you only. But anyhow, after, I don't want to make it so long, at the end, they brought a excavator and they dug everything, and they took loan, of course, to excavate, because he cannot pay to the bobcat. Then they and that box came, and he got so much wealth. See, wealth is there, but he was begging because he didn't know that he has got so much of wealth, and he became like a multimillionaire once again. In the same way, the wealth is here. We want a job or something. If we get some $1,000, then we think we celebrate like anything, we throw parties and everything. It is because we don't know our own value. We give that piece of paper is it has more value. But I'm not telling that that is not required. But it is given so much importance. All other things, myself, no value. Even my value is depending on on that how much piece of paper I have. Relationship has no value. Again, relationship is how much you are earning or how much wealth you have. So we have to hear something which is Bhadra. Bhadra means auspicious, which would really make us feel holy, not like a great, which will make us give that feeling that we are holy, we are peace by nature, we are happy by nature. That is called Bhadram. So the students and teacher both are praying. They are invoking that attitude. That it is what we are trying to achieve. First, we have to create that attitude. Suppose I want to love somebody, then I have to create that love in my heart or in my mind. Then only I can love somebody. I'm here starving for love, then I will tell that, let us love each other. How it will come? He doesn't have love. She doesn't have love. These two are coming to each other to love each other. Both are beggars of love. How they can give love to each other? So one has to create that. It is there. Just one has to invoke that. This thought one has to bring, love is my nature. Love doesn't come from outside. Love always comes from inside. If always will think, then the other thought that I don't have love, I want somebody to love me, this thought will be weaker. This thought, it is everything is on thought. It is not depending on any miracle or anything. That somebody will touch our head and something will happen. People depend so much on the miracle, on magic. The human life is a great magic. How this bundle of flesh and bone, how it is moving. It is able to do different things. The mind is going, we can think of it here and we can think of the moon. What a great magic. If this inert body is able to move, which is made of flesh, bone, blood and fecal matter and urine, if that body looks so beautiful, it made all of dirty things. Then what miracle we want? Somebody will make some black bhasma, or somebody will create some kind of vibhuti, then we get so much wow. But we don't give any importance to ourselves. That this human life is a great miracle. Bhadram. Bhadram means that by that invoking that holiness, that auspiciousness, our mind becomes auspicious. Then our mind will be fit to understand when something is told regarding auspicious Brahman. Bhadram. Karnevi. Karnevi means, actually it should be Karnabhyam. Karnabhyam means by 2 years. But Karnevi is told. That means, let me hear with many years. But nobody has got many years. Everybody has got only 2 years. But here we are telling that, oh Lord, let me hear that again and again and again and again. And let me not lose a single word in. For the Upanishad is telling, and with all attentiveness, let me hear that. With the capacity, that's why Ganeshji has got big ear. That means let me have the capacity of thousands of years to listen to this Upanishad. Bhadram Karnevi. Srunuyam. Srunuyam means let me hear. Srunuyam means hear. Because by hearing only, there was problem regarding my identity. So let me now hear regarding my true identity. Devaha. O gods, let me hear with thousands of years whatever is holy and auspicious and what is right. Let me hear that again and again. Bhadram Pasyena Akshari Yadatraha. Yadatraha means the that when like we do yagas and yajnas, Yadatraha, that means when we are involved in activities, at that time we try to see all negative things. When you're working, like suppose you are going to work, we'll say the boss is not good, he gave me a job and I got a car and house and everything. Now he is the most dangerous person. Okay, I told this boss is not good. Then this my colleague is not right. Then this building is not right. Then that parking lot is not correct. Always I try to find fault with everything. Do you think that I'll get any benefit from that place? So Yadatta is when we are involved in different activities, Bhadram Pasyama, let me see whatever is auspicious. If at home a person doesn't see a single thing which is good in another person, how that relationship will be enjoyable? At least something good I should see in the other person. At least one thing. If I can see 10 good things, then there is no problem at all. Because nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. When I am looking for somebody perfect, first I should see that there is perfection in me. Only God is perfect. All of us are imperfect. All our human relationships are based upon imperfection. There is no perfect relationship. Like marriage is not made between two perfect people, two imperfect people. And that we should accept that he has got imperfection, I have got imperfection. That is okay. It balances out. Although, I'm perfect, you are imperfect. That way the relationship cannot be sustained. It is unsustainable. Yadatra, when I'm engaged in different activities, we are praying to Lord, oh Lord, both student and teacher, both are praying to Lord, oh Lord, let me see what is auspicious, what is holy. Bhadram Pasyema Akshavi Yadatra. To my eyes, that means it is divinizing all the senses. Through ears, let me hear all the good things, and to the eyes, let me see all the whatever is auspicious. If we train our eyes to see that one, then that eye can function properly. Like for everything to function, a medium is needed. For the suppose a car, a road is needed. For the aeroplane, we need the sky, we need the space, we need. For the ship, we need the water. If we bring the car, we take the car to the water and bring the aeroplane to the road, it cannot fly. So our eyes can function when we are making the eyes to see whatever is holy. Whatever is holy. That part one has to train. That's why we take Istadevata. Every day we go and sit. We don't see the picture of our spouse or something. Then when we are married, we are looking like film stars. But now we see it, we cannot see in our own spouse face. It looks so ugly, Skin is wrinkled, the size is changed, the teeth is come out. It's not a good sight at all. And then it will create a different age. If the person I am married, then I'll bring the previous picture and this picture, how I look. I don't want this. Then we go for plastic surgery. No, no. So something I am to create an impression. That's why we take the Istadevata. Every day morning when we get up, we go and bow down. Then after taking bath, we sit there for 5 to 10 minutes. We try to see that picture again and again and again and again. Istadevata. Whether it is Ganeshji, whether it is Lord Sri Krishna, whether it is Lord Sri Rama, whether it is Goddess Saraswati, Durga Mata, one should have Istadevata. See that picture again and again till it creates an imprint in our mind. And of course, while taking that picture I should like that picture, otherwise it will not work. Because our eyes, they want to see something which is the most beautiful. And whatever is most beautiful picture, we should select that. We have got 36 crores of gods and goddesses. At least one picture we like. If none of the pictures we like, then it is better luck next life. It's not going to help. It's not going to help. And our gods and goddesses, they are like they're like beauty queens, and I don't know what is the other called, beauty queen, and the men, I don't know what they're called. Okay, anyhow, they are like superheroes are there. We should take that picture, and we should see every day. And that picture we should not forget. When we are going, we should remember. When we are working, we should remember. When we are going to sleep, we should remember. When we get up, we should remember. By that way, that picture will create an impression in the mind. Once it creates impression, all other pictures, how much dressed up and makeup and all those things, it will not attract anymore. Because I have seen something more beautiful than that. That way, these are all practical things. One spiritual thing is not just something will happen. No, one has to work for that. So that is called Bhadram Pasyam Akshavi. That means when we see somebody, we bring that picture. I was reading one book by Amrutanandamayi. She was telling in that book that when you are talking to somebody, don't tell that I am talking to Mr. X. Bring that picture. Other person will not know what you are doing. You bring that picture, I am talking to my Istadevata. Superimpose that picture. I am talking to that. Of course, in the path of knowledge, like Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, always where you are sitting in the Ramana ashram, in front of me there is a wall, plain wall. In that wall there is a dot. He will always look to the wall. He will not look anywhere else. And if you can concentrate on the self is so tasty, so beautiful, so sweet, then one will not want to say anything else. Always I want to, let me close his eyes, let me see myself. Let me be with myself. This is so sweet. So Bhadram Pasyam Akshavi. Let me see what is holy. And Mahatma Gandhi, his message is, Hear no evil, see no evil, talk no evil. But we are all gossips. When somebody is gossiping, what this Trump is doing. People can talk one whole day, one can talk regarding Trump. Everybody being their choices, logics are this is, and it becomes very juicy. And in the stock market, it will go on and on. Now nobody is talking. I don't know how people pass time now, but anyhow, it goes very juicy. We like to hear gossip. When gossip is going on, our ear it becomes very long. We can not only hear what is told on the bottom and the top, we can hear also what is told in the middle also. We can all useless things now. How many coronavirus people they are affected, how many they are coming out, and how many died, and how many are there, then what is going to happen to me? These thoughts all the time, if you listen, we can't live in, while alive also will feel dead. Hear something, take Lord's name, and while talking, chant loudly so that we can hear, and take God's form so that we can see something holy. Bhadram Pasyamaksha, Bhadram Pasyamakshavi Yadatraha. Then Sthirayangaihi Tustubhagam Saha Tanuvihi. Tanuvi means by the body. Tanu means body. Sthirayangai, let this body have steady limbs. Now our limbs are so unsteady. If eye is pulling in one direction, the ear is pulling in another direction. The tongue is driving us crazy. The skin is telling that is pulling in one direction. As a result, we are pulled in 5 different directions at the same time. There is no sthirata. Our limbs are not steady. They are not able to stay in their own place. They are just going crawling everywhere. They are crawling everywhere. Sthirayangai, they are both the teacher and taught. They are praying to the Lord, oh Lord, let me Vyasema Devahitam Yadayu. As long as I am alive and with the steady limbs, let me live. Tustubhagam means may we live, offering praises to you, O Lord. As long as this body is there, as long as the body is alive, let me have steady limbs so that I will use those steady limbs to do different activities which will please you. Sri Narayana Prityarthe idam karmam karisye. Let me do this work to please you. If the body is strong, then we try to indulge. If the body is strong, the eye is very powerful, ear is very powerful, nose is very powerful, tongue is very powerful, skin is very powerful, then we try to indulge in the worldly pleasure. But there we are doing a mistake. There we are doing a mistake. Use that power for the Lord. Then we'll get maximum benefit out of those limbs. But now we are not doing that. That's why the student and teacher, they are playing both. It is not that the teacher is thinking that I am a realized master and you are good for nothing. That's why, no. Both student and teacher, they are the sadhaks. They are the seekers. The teacher is seeking through teaching and the student is seeking through listening. Both are seekers, spiritual seekers. Thirayangehi tustubhagam saha tanuhi. Vyasema deva hitam yadayo. So we'll see a little more meaning of this sentence next time. And all of you, since you are reading this one, sit some time, give some time, quiet time to yourself. Because in the quiet moment only we'll know what is happening inside us. Then we can detect. If we detect, then we can eliminate. But if we don't detect what is happening, what problem I have, and there is no solution at all. Even though family is there, everything, but it is time is there to just go to the basement. Don't of course we have got spouse, husband is there, wife is there, but don't spend time too much with them. There's no need. Everybody, God has given that capacity to everybody to really. We came alone. We didn't come in the pairs. We came alone. That is the reason. And while going also, we'll go alone. So let us develop a little habit where I can stay, I can just reflect, so I will know what is happening and where to do little change. Not all the time sitting and no, it is no good at all. No good. No good. It is not help us at all. So since we are reading the Upanishad, Make some time, 5 minutes, I'll sit. Think regarding these things. That really, am I, through my eyes God has given, am I seeing all the holy things or all the ugly things I'm seeing? Then how I can see the holy things? Prepare. Only when you are silent, then only you can prepare yourself. So it is just a suggestion, because the solitude is the greatest blessing. If somebody is getting time to spend with oneself, then that is the greatest blessing. Greatest blessing. Since we are with the family, we have to make that. We have to make that. It will not come on its own. We have to, especially we have to little do some effort. But please do, and success will be with us. Always God's blessings with us. And let Buddha's blessings be always with you and with all of us. And we